All right, welcome to lab number 2 for DP-900. Here we're taking a look at Azure storage. And in case you've used other clouds before, this might be a little bit confusing. But in Azure, we have this resource called a storage account. And we can create one from right here. And when we create a storage account, we're asked all kinds of questions. So as with many other things in Azure, when we create a resource, we need to select the subscription, a resource group, then a name for the resource itself. Note that this needs to be unique and domain compatible. So let's use deep dives DP-900. Oh yeah, no hyphens allowed. We're selecting a region here. And then we can select some other settings like the performance. We're happy with standard. And the redundancy. There are many options here. We're currently happy with just locally redundant storage. There are more options available here. We're not going to fiddle with them, just kind of showing you that there is stuff available. Here's the standard network connectivity functionality that is available for pretty much all endpoints in Azure. And then finally, data protection. Quite a bit of features available in here as well. And then finally, encryption options. But yeah, that's it. So for us, we're just going to go with the standards and create this storage account. And that is created. So if we now go to the storage account, you might be looking for functionalities like uploading and that kind of stuff. But if we go to upload, we're actually seeing that we're missing something, right? So we need something called a container to upload to. So how do we do this? Well, as it happens here on the left-hand side, under data storage, we can see we have 4 different types available to us. The first one is called containers. And there is already an existing container here. This is system generated for logs. And then we can add containers here. So we're going to add a container. Let's call it data. And note that we can do some configurations per container as well. And now we have it here. Now we can go inside it. And now this is kind of where we would now then upload our files, basically. Another way to navigate here is to go back to our storage account. Oops. Over here. And then select storage browser here on the left-hand side. So this gives us a view of everything we got here. And note that it currently doesn't show that we have any blob containers, even though we just created one. But if we go inside blob containers, then we can see that it's actually here. And now let's or maybe even create a directory first. Yeah, products. Right, and then go into products. It's here, and then in here we're going to upload a blob, And that's going to be the JSON file from here. Note that there are some settings here as well, like overwriting files if they already exist. We can also choose the blob type. More about the different types in the documentation. We can also define the block size. For our purposes, surely 64K is enough. And another thing that we can do here is define a different folder. Let's say product and data. All right, and then let's just upload. You can see that it has created a directory into which it has then uploaded that JSON file. Now, even though it's talking about directories here, please do remember that this is object storage, right? This is not a file system. All right, next, let's take a look at the a feature called Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, fairly complicated, to work as a data lake. So to have your storage account as or your containers as a data lake. I'm just going to save another file here quickly, product 2. And so if we go back to our storage account, just the overview here, and then we open up all of the settings, there are plenty, then you can see that down here, there's something called the Data Lake Gen 2 upgrade. Let's go there. And what we're doing here is we're upgrading our storage account to include the kind of features that would be required for big data storage. So basically using the storage account as a data lake. Then there are 3 steps to do that, right? So let's start to do that. So a number of data protection features along with other features will need to be disabled due to conflicts with the upgrade. Okay, let's do that. We're going to be okay. We have agreed to doing that. It's great. Then validating your account. Okay. All right, now it has validated, and then we can upgrade the account itself. All right. Now the upgrade is complete. And now if we go back to our Storage Explorer, we go to our blob containers, data, products, product data. Our data is still here, but we can now do different kinds of things here on the directory level, right? So we can do things like changing settings and so on the directory level instead of having to do that just on the container. The reason for this is the actual hierarchical, that this is now a hierarchical file system. All right, so let's upload our second file here. And now if we go back to products, we ought to be able to I guess we need to do a whole refresh. So now we're able to do things like renaming or giving access to individual folders within the container, because we, when making this upgrade, have also enabled a hierarchical namespace. All right, that's that. Another feature here under data storage is something called a file share. So let's create one. Let's call it files. We have transaction optimized hot and cool here. We're going to keep this as transaction optimized. Again, take a look at the documentation to know about the differences. Then under backup, we don't need any backups for our demo purposes. There is a backupping system available. And then let's just create this. And now it's created. And what is this? Well, it's a file share. So it's a SMB protocol file share. Here you have the options on how to connect to it. So this one is for Windows. And then similarly, you can use a script to use the Samba protocol to connect from either Linux or from Mac OS as well. Okay, so that's that option. There's a bit of a browser here as well for that, so you can take a look at the contents of your file share from the web UI. Then next up, we have something called tables down here. Azure Tables is a very simple key value store. Okay, let's create a new table called products. And let's go to storage browser to be able to view it. And here we have tables and products. And now what we can do here is just, for example, add an entity. I'm going to say the partition key is going to be 1 and the row key 1. These are the two required properties that an entity has. And then we can add, for example, a name, which would be a widget. Maybe we have a widget factory. And let's say also a price, which is a number. So let's say a double. Of $2.99. And then insert that. You can see now it is here. Let's also add another one. Same partition key, different row key. Name is going to be Nick. Price is going to be $1.99. And this one is going to have an additional property called discontinued, which is a Boolean. True. Right, so you can see that different entities do not need to share necessarily the attributes. As you can see here, there is no discontinued attribute for the first item. Right, there's the third option here called queues that we don't go into, but this is basically a simple queue messaging system for queues. And please do note when you are using tables or queues from your storage account that these tend to have less of the newer features available. There are other options for like NoSQL data, such as Cosmos DB instead of tables. There are other message brokers available. So in general, queues and tables seem not to be developed as much anymore. So whenever there is new features, then in general these two kind of sub-services will be missing out on them. So the containers for object storage and the file shares for Windows file shares are the ones that are leading with all of the latest feature. But that's everything for me for this particular lab. Thanks again for listening, and see you in the next one. Till then.